Good morning. Are you out there? I'm Mark with Homebrew Fever Dreams, and I've got the Way of the Moonlit Dancer Monk. This is a subclass coming to us from Rune Queen of Oblivion. So sorry, Rune Queen, for keeping you waiting for well over a week here, but I've been busy. I've had to do a couple of the reviews, and we've done some horror stories, but I got to it. I've been very excited about this from the first moment. Rune Queen shared it here on the r/Homebrew Fever Dreams. If you have Homebrew, you would like me to review it, hopefully make a video for you, I will. It can be artwork, it can be whatever, creatures, it can even be RPGs that don't have anything to do with D&D. Any RPG. So, here we go. Well, after last time went, I've decided to post another subclass I made with the Bearded Russian. So this is the helper, creative partner of Ruin Queen of Oblivion. The Bearded Russian and the Ruin Queen make these together. This one is actually special to me because it was the first subclass I made. I hope you all like it. It's a subclass based on the teachings of the drow goddess Isle Istrai. Alright, so you guys would want to say Illustray. A lot of people say that, but Isle Istrai is how she would say it. I looked it up. But it can be reflavored for anything. So real quick one here, the drow goddess of Isle Istrai is the daughter of Lolth, essentially. And she, with Lolth, who used to be a good elf, betrayed the elven people, essentially. Tried to overthrow the great elven pantheon. She was defeated, ultimately. Her daughter here went into exile with her for all intents and purposes. That's not true. She didn't go into exile with Lolth. She went into exile with the drow people. So she is essentially the lifeline of goodness, the way back for the drow people. And so she's made that self-sacrifice as a goddess to really diminish herself, but to be that final branch of peace and goodness and a path back to the light for her people. So there's quite a bit of depth to this. In particular, though, Isle Istrai is known for dance, expressing herself or yourself through dance and movement. So that's part of the beauty of the character here. So, the Way of the Moonlit Dancer. This rare tradition was developed and passed down by a secretive cadre of drow monks known as the Order of the Dark Maiden, an organization dedicated to Isle Istrai and the freeing of their drow brethren from the clutches of Lolth. Focusing on fluidity and controlling momentum, its techniques can appear more like the moves of a dance than those of a martial art. Practitioners use this to their advantage, training hidden in plain sight and using the element of surprise to further the effectiveness of their counter-striking techniques. That's right, within drow society, you would essentially be able to move as though dancing, all the while training this forbidden martial art and form of expression, because ultimately it's a form of hope in the eyes of Isle Istrai relative to the the rulership of Lolth, which is pretty oppressive and brutal and all, extremely evil, extremely. I believe Lolth became a demon of some sorts, or a devil. I mean, I don't know if she changed what she is, but yeah, she occupies one of the 9 hells, I think, something like that. Yeah, she's way down in the badness area of the outer realms. So I digress. Let's continue. Shield Maiden's Dance. Starting when you pick this tradition at level 3, you learn to redirect the attacks of your foes, counteracting their aggression with softness and precision. Your Deflect Missiles feature can now be used against melee attacks as well as ranged. That's right. So because it's obviously fluid dancing motion, is you have a partner, the person you're in combat with at melee range, you're able to turn aside and just move out of the way stuff. So very evocative, very, matrixy thinking, a little, kung fu lean, but probably much more beautiful, obviously. If you reduce a melee attack to 0 damage, you completely undercut the momentum of their attack, forcing the attacker to make a strength saving throw against your key save DC. On a failure, the attacker takes bludgeoning damage equal to a roll of your martial arts die and is knocked prone. That's good. Obviously, the monk has a martial arts die that's going to progress as they go up, but it'll never be overpowered as far as the damage kickback. You only get this as a reaction, if I'm not mistaken. Deflect missiles, it's not stated, but yeah, deflect missiles is a reaction, so you can only do it once per turn. So it's not like if you're getting hit by 4 enemies in a turn, you're going to damage. That would be way OP. But this is good, especially considering that the result of this, if you were to reduce the damage to 0, that you'd be able to knock them prone. So you're getting that little bit of punch back, you're mitigating your damage, and you're potentially knocking your opponent prone, which would allow you to potentially counterattack with advantage against a prone target, I think is how it works. So there's a lot of good stuff there. It may even be overpowered. It may be like A++. And I always say that because, when we're doing homebrew, we're looking at things like theme, fun, ease of understanding, balance. Like, these are some of the criteria. So listen, the deflect missile is already there. It's already an ability you get as a monk. So, it's like an A tier. But then you're adding on, okay, well, I can use it against melee and range. So that's a plus. So it's an A+ now. And you're saying, and I can bounce the damage back to them. But that's kind of like catching the projectile and throwing it back, so I won't count that. But then you have the knock prone as well. So that's, to me, at least 2 pluses on what would already have been the common feature for a monk, the deflect missiles. So I'm looking at like an A++, but the knock prone isn't... It's situational because it does require you to reduce that damage to 0. They do get the strength saving throw. This takes the key... Oh, gosh, I didn't read that. Takes a key point to use deflect missile, I believe. It's not free in that sense. So, yeah, I would say it's just a solid A+ then. Not unbalanced, really useful. You would want to use this. Yes, very cool. Blessed Cadence. At 6th level, you're able to draw on the power of Ailistrae to produce an unexpected burst of starlight with your flowing movements. As an action, you can spend 1 key point to force any creatures, plural, within 10 feet of you to succeed at a Constitution saving throw against your key save DC or be blinded until the end of your next turn. Creatures in dim light or darkness have disadvantage on this save. So this is like a special defense or offense against the drow in the Underdark, right? And those creatures of the dark. In particular, they're very likely to fail that con save and become blinded, thus giving you the advantage or the time you need to escape. So good flavor, really tying in there with this subversive drow resistance cadre, right? Using this ability counts as making an unarmed attack for the purposes of your other class features. Once you use this ability, you cannot do so again for 1 minute. So you can't just blast this over and over, keeping everyone blind locked while the rest of the party chops them to pieces. So good touch. And it's nice because it's slightly situational, but it's going to come up pretty regularly. This would mean that your monk would deliberately dance among multiple foes to get the most blindness for the pop, for the key point. So a smart player is going to be able to use strategy to up the power output of this ability. Really nice. Penance Dirge. I'm so glad I pre-read this so I can know how to say all these words. Beginning at 11th level, you learn to redirect not only physical attacks, but also the pain they cause, subjecting your foes to the suffering caused by their violent acts. Once per round, when you reduce the damage of a melee attack with your Shield Maiden's Dance above, or hit with an attack as part of your flurry of blows against a target that has attacked you since the start of your last turn. So in the round of combat leading to you, if someone has attacked you, so it's not that hard to track, you'll be able to trigger this. You can spend 2 key points to force that target to make a wisdom saving throw against your key save DC. On a failure, the creature takes psychic damage equal to your monk level and suffers the effects of your stunning strike feature. Just tacks it right on there. On a success, it takes half damage and suffers no further effects. So a little touch of damage there based off the monk. So one of the things I really like about the subclass is that it very much ties in other parts of the monk abilities. It's not all new from the ground up, completely unprecedented. It's really taking and modifying things that people should be familiar with if they're familiar with the monk class and just adding some extra flavor to it. By the way, a dirge is a song of death to anyone. I always say with the best thing about RPGs is it teaches you so much about the real world that we all live in, and history, religions, mythologies, the meanings of words. But yeah, so a dirge would be a song of death, again related to the theme of dance, in this case music. And then finally our capstone capability here, Fury of the Moon Goddess. By 17th level, you're able to channel the full might of the moon, baptizing an enemy in holy fire. Yes. At the start of your turn, you can declare that you wish to invoke this power, spending 1 to 5 key points, your choice. Your next successful attack with an unarmed strike or monk weapon to deal an additional 2d10 radiant damage per key point spent. Once you use this ability, you cannot do so again until you complete a short or long rest. Yeah, that's I mean, you only have so many key points, but this is just a damage bomb. It's brilliant at level 17. It's completely appropriate. And it's reserved until the next successful attack. Obviously, you're making multiple unarmed attacks per turn, so you're going to land this pretty much in the turn you want to, and you're going to just you're going to pump that up to 10d10 radiant damage. And this is something that some of you may not know. This ties in very nicely with Ayla Strai's Moonfire, which is an ability that at times she may, when she sees a faithful follower of hers in time of need, great need, she may give them the ability to direct Moonfire and do insane damage. It's not usually something they control. It's something that she gifts upon her faithful in a moment of dire need, but this is a theme from the actual lore for the goddess in question here. So this ties in beautifully. Rune Queen of Oblivion, you've done your homework, and she is clearly your favorite goddess, and very possibly the best goddess, but that's not for me to say. That's for you guys to say. So thank you so much, Rune Queen of Oblivion and the Bearded Russian. You're always welcome to post more stuff. I will get to it when I can. I can only move through the stuff so quickly, but thank you if you watched. Thank you.